Hey, what's going on, everybody? You know how we do. Let's just get into it. Today's video is mainly about who is telling the story. You know what I'm saying? Like that is just the main thing. It's about who is telling the story. And let's just get into it. So, particularly in Iran, I feel like Americans are so ignorant of global history, even our own history, that like it literally puts us in danger and allows us to be manipulated. Um, Before I even go into Iran, I'm going to go into our own history, right? Because we have a very romanticized version of the American Revolution and how everything came to be and our founding fathers and justice and fighting tyranny, blah, 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 right? So, my question to you is that's our version. What are the British version? What's the British version of that story, right? That these traitors, these terrorists, are defying a nation and a sovereign nation where they made a vow to, where England put up a lot of the money for these people to come over and establish a colony. And the colonists were engaging in terrorism. They were destroying crops. They were the Boston Tea Party. What the fuck do you think that was? That was literally them destroying property. And tea was one of the world's largest industries and property. Because remember back then they didn't have flavored drinks, right? So tea was like it. So bombing the tea ships and everything was huge and major, probably the equivalent today of like bombing oil ships, you know what I'm saying, in that nature. So it was a really big thing, and it wasn't just a single effort, like it was guerrilla warfare. They were, you know, killing water supplies and food supplies and building materials and everything. It was literally a guerrilla warfare until the Brits got so sick of it that they came and sent troops here. So America was founded on technical terrorism. These revolutionaries were rebels fighting against the standardized government, right? And this is why I just want us to just think about our own morality and everything. We're just like, well, hey, these are terrorists, but not all terrorism is created equal, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we tell our story of terrorism against the British Crown as a heroism story against tyranny. And I would invite you to think that probably most terrorists are thinking they're doing the exact same thing, right? It's not to suggest that their cause is righteous, but I just want us to think in a mindset that like one person's terrorist is another person's revolutionary fighting against tyranny. Right. And I think we have to be able to have the sophistication to look at these things objectively and not just look at one scene. Black people were seen as terrorists, right? Black people and slaves in this country that were fighting against slavery, that were fighting against their own imprisonment and rape and brutal treatment, they were called domestic terrorists. Because all a terrorist is basically someone that's like fighting against the current legal structure there, right? Without like an official army. Like that's really the kind of definition of it. So if you're thinking about it, like terrorism is only existing against like the major powers that be. And who are the powers that be? Shouldn't we have some investigation into who the powers that be are before we sit there and blanket say they're terrorists, the same way we do against the British Empire, the same way we do against those people that were pro-slavery? But we don't. And I want us to have that same sophistication when we are attacking and we're talking to Iran. Because basically, let's just be real about it. Europeans fucked over the world with colonization. They did the same formula everywhere. And every nation, basically, across the globe has had to fight for independence, had to fight violent revolutions that at the time each European country said was terrorism, said was tyranny, said was against all the things, right? Let's think about that. No revolution that any black and brown country has had has been celebrated by Europe. Why? Because Europeans were the ones that were benefiting from it, the ones that subjugated it. And you don't have to just look, it's all over the world. There's almost not a country that hasn't been impacted by it. Like Europeans literally carved up the world amongst themselves to steal. It's not a myth. Like they did it in Africa, they did it in the Middle East, they did it in Southeast Asia, where they carved these boundaries to make sure that warring factions live together. Let's take Iran for itself, right? Let's just take it after World War One, where the French and the English, and this is in the French and English's own publications, they said that they went down there, they carved it up before, they carved the Ottoman Empire up, they lied, they broke every single treaty they made with any Arabs and Persians and everything. They said they're going to give dual states. They lied. They stole. Like they admit this. They call it like the Great Theft. They admit it. So it's like they literally tried to spark revolutions. They tried to get the Arabs to fight against some of the people that were there, and they did. And of course, they lied. And how they did the same thing with the Native Americans. They did the same thing with the Africans. They did the same thing in Southeast Asia with the Cambodians and Vietnamese. It's like, when are we going to get this? Like, and we sit there and we look at all these global conflicts all over the world and we isolate them like, oh, those countries, oh, Cambodia, oh, Laos, oh, Vietnam, oh, Nigeria, oh, Ecuador, oh, Nicaragua, oh, Afghanistan, oh. But the common thread of all that shit is European colonization and current exploitation. Like, it's absolutely insane. It's like, and colonization really is the issue, because think about it. Europeans and Americans are so mad that other countries' people are coming to their countries. They're so angry, but yet they're not addressing the fact that they are currently exploiting these countries. They're former colonies, and these countries are poor because of the puppet governments that were put up there. And any revolution that these countries tried to have, where the people actually tried to rise up and take over, were quelched, were quickly stifled by the United States and Europe, trying to make sure to bully the governments to be able to, so they can still have those colonization records, right? They're not going to help people unless they do what they want. Like, you're not going to help these countries that you starved and give them loans that they need unless they have unfair trade practices to you. And let's just isolate Iran right here. Let's just isolate them and have a really, really brief global history of that. So Iran is one of the Persian Empire, one of the oldest societies on earth, period, point blank. Let's fast forward just the World War. We'll do the Crusades, where Europeans had a hard on for the Middle East because they were jealous. They saw all the black and brown people there and living with immense technology. They saw they had access to the Holy Land and holy sites, and Europeans just wanted it. They wanted access to it, and they didn't want the Arabs to have it. Look it up. That's what Europeans said. That's not even what the Arabs said. That's what Europeans said. Imagine like what the real truth is. So they've been trying to conquer the Middle East. Didn't really happen. World War I was their next opportunity. The Ottoman Empire got dragged into the fight. Ottoman Empire lost. France and England went into the Middle East, lied to everybody, manipulated all the people there, carved it up for themselves, set up colonies, deliberately put people together that could never get together, put Sunnis and Shiites together, spread Kurd tribes throughout 3 nations. Which is why the Kurds are always fucked up everywhere they go, right? Somehow the Kurds are always allies to us, no matter where they are, but they don't have a state. How don't they have a nation? Think about that shit. And that's been something that's even been talked about for 20 years, how they've had actually indigenous religious people who had their own land. Europeans came and took it all away and divided them up. But the Kurds are still allies who help us fight in every fucking war. They helped us fight in Iraq. They helped us fight in Afghanistan. They're helping us fight in Iran. And they're still displaced and have no homeland. What a good thank you, right? But that's literally what's happening. All this shit is neocolonialism. So Iran, after British colonialism had, I forget what his name was, start with the M, but had a elected leader that was just trying to kick England out. God forbid. He wanted to get their own oil resources. Does it sound familiar to any country, that they wanted to have their own oil resources? Hello, Venezuela. Right. So, of course, they didn't want that. So they made him like an evil dictator and then put a puppet dictator in his place. So it's like from the 1950s to 1979, the United States was controlling Iran, right? And God forbid the Iranian people had a revolution to kick him out because he was a horrible, brutal dictator. But then you notice that's like the year that the United States propaganda says, like, that's when the year of terror began. Terror began there, but you're not counting any of the other history before that. Just ignore the history that caused it. You consolidated having a religious caliphate because it was the only thing that united people to get a religion. You caused this reaction because of the greed and theft And now you want to get him out again because of the shit that you call. It's like, we need to understand we cause all this shit. Not we, me, New York, but like European powers in America cause all basically of the global shit that's going on today. All the hot zones, all the wars, all the unstable countries. Who do you think they caused Cuba? Who do you think caused Cuba? Getting involved in Western conflicts. They're a collateral damage. Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Colombia, Afghanistan, Iran, Somalia. How many more times do we have to tell this motherfucking story before we realize what the original sin is? Who are the original fucking devils of this shit? And until we actually address it, nothing will ever happen. We're just letting it bypass and putting out these little patch fires that Europeans are still benefiting from. Still benefiting from. Why are British and European petrol companies even in the Middle East? It's like, what the fuck is going on? And we're going to put ourselves in danger, and we're still putting ourselves in danger for protecting these fucking neocon colonial fucking games. We just need to wake up and get out of it. Until next time.